Hey guys, so today I'm going to show you how I created this image in Cinema 4D. It is basically two spheres and one plane for the floor, and it's really all about the materials. So let's jump right in. First off, I'm going to create the scene. Just delete this material here. So I'll create a sphere. It's 100 on the radius, so I'll make it 100 on the Y as well, because we're going to have a floor. And I'll duplicate this sphere and make it half of the first one. We can see anything, so I'll click N, G, so we go into lines mode. And I'll create my floor as well. We don't need to see the floor right now, so I'll make it red. And we also need, I forgot about that, we also need a sky. So I'll create a sky, and I'll drag an HDRI for my sky. I think it's this one. No. And okay, so let's jump right into the materials then, because this is our scene. We don't need to do anything else. Now it's just material wise. So let's, for the sky material, let's change from, we don't need reflectance, let's actually change the texture from color to luminance. Okay. And now I guess I'll name this. So this one is the inside sphere, and this one is the outside sphere. So we'll make three materials, one from the inside, the outside, and the floor. Let's name them. So everything named, it's just easier. Yeah. Side and outside. Excuse me. So let's start with the inside sphere. It's the easiest, yeah. And it's just a white matte. So we check luminance and we unchecked color and luminance and reflectance. Sorry, and we'll just put this one to the inside sphere. And now for the outside sphere, we just make this one transparent. Take out the color and the reflectance. That's really it. Now to see, let's see how the results are live. So I'll click Alt R to bring up my interactive render region. Let's make it bigger. So this is what we have right now. Also, I didn't apply it yet. So the outside, the transparent material, let's put it to the outside sphere. One thing is we need to change the render settings. If we have it on standard mode, let's change it to physical. And to have it a faster update on the render view, let's change from adaptive to progressive mode. So it's just faster to update the interactive render region. Also, let's make this with high quality, so we actually see how the final result is looking. Now I am seeing the sky. We don't want that. We just want the sky for reflection, to watch the reflection on the outer sphere. So on the sky the sky object, we right click on it, Cinema 4D tags, and we create a compositing tag, and we take out scene by camera. Okay, now we still see it behind our outside sphere because it's still seen by transparency. So if we take this off, we now don't see the sky at all. Now we want reflection on the outside material, and the thing is, once you check transparency, you create a reflection channel for the transparency. So if you come to reflectance, we have the default specular. We can just delete this one, and we have a new tab which is transparency. If I uncheck this, it's gone. So if I check it and I come to reflectance, there you go. You have a transparency, we have a reflectance channel for the transparency. And as you can see, it says reflection strength at 100. We just can't see anything because the transparency, it's 100%, and we don't have any refraction, which is the distortion basically. So we can do the distortion, for example, use a preset like the glass preset. It's 1.517. And right now what we are seeing, it's not only the reflection, the environment is not only the reflection, but also the refraction of the object. And we just really want the reflection. So if I come to the compositing tag again, I can uncheck the refraction. and that's it. Now we have only the reflection being shown. Now I think this refraction value, it's way too high for what I want, and you can see if we select the inside sphere, you can see this is the actual size of the sphere, but the distortion is so high that it's making the sphere look like it's this big. So I'll bring this value down to 1.1, and I think it's okay like this. Also, well, when you bring the refraction value down, we also have less reflection on the sphere, but that's fine for us. Let me also do one thing, which is, let's just do the image black and white. So I come to the sky material, luminance, and on the texture I'll create a layer channel, so the texture that was here before goes automatically inside the layer channel, and I will create an effect, use saturation brightness, and just bring it down. So now we have a black and white image. Now the environment, it's being reflected as a clear image, so you can see the lights here on the ceiling and everything. So we want this to be a bit blurred. So we come to the outside sphere, and on the reflectance channel, it's not activated, but you can check it or not. It's fine because it will always be checked. So we just bring the roughness up, which is basically the blurriness, and now you can see we have some blurriness being applied to the reflection. So I'll bring this fairly high, 50%, which is a lot, so you can see. Now things start to get interesting when you start to add some imperfections to your render, some variance. So in the roughness channel, you have this little arrow, which is a drop down for a texture, and this texture will drive the roughness of the reflectance. So if you come here, you can load an image if you have one, but right now I'm just going to use a noise shader. And I'll use the Luca one. I really like this one, Luca shader. Global scale, and make it high, I don't know, 500. Not high, big. Well, high as well. So, and now what this is, it's the roughness, it's only being applied on the white spots. The black spots are not being affected by roughness, so they're just reflecting the clear image. We can't really see this that much, we don't have a lot of reflection here, but it is happening. So if I bring the contrast up, I think it's a good way to see this. So we can see that, you can see here, for example, let's just go a little further. Yes, so in here this is very blurred, and in here it's not blurred at all. So you see here it's not blurred, and in here it is. So if we bring this down, for example, pretty much everything is going to be blurred, some parts more than others, but everything. So I'll leave it as 0 right now, because that's okay, but you know, you can control it whatever way you want. Now, since we have a blurred reflection, we shouldn't be able to see the inside object as clear as we see now. So we also need to blur our transparency. So if you come to the transparency channel, we have the blurriness tab here. You can just adjust this for, I don't know, 35, and it's really a lot, but yeah, it's good for the effect you want. So it's just blurring everything evenly. You can see the sphere, it's no longer a sphere, it's just a ball of gas. So now the thing is, the reflectance channel actually have a texture to drive the roughness, and we cannot do that in the transparency. There's no arrow here as a drop down, so there's no way to drive this blurriness, but there is a way to do it. So we have to cheat basically. So in order to do that, we have to use two materials and use the alpha channel to drive the blurriness. So basically I'll just have outside blurred. Oops, sorry, my keyboard is weird. Yeah, it's not me. And we'll just make a new material, and we call this one outside no blurred. And so this is the no blurred, so I'll just make the blurriness 0. and we go back to the one that's blurred. Now we need to drive the alpha channel. So I really like the Luca noise, so I'll just go to reflectance channel and I drag and drop from the roughness to the alpha channel. There you go. On the texture of the alpha, we need to check alpha. And now we want this same channel to be on the other material. So we come here, reflectance, bring it to alpha, drop it on the texture, check it, but this material here, it's supposed to be on the exact, it's like inverted. So we have the invert button here, we can just click on it, and that's it. Now we have two materials, and we just need to apply both. So I'll drag the outside non-blurred into the outside sphere, and now we can see the effect being represented here. So you have these parts which are really blurred, like this line, it's almost non-blurred. The thing is, if we increase the contrast here, let's just do it. We can change both materials at once. If we have the material editor opened, we just select both. If we come into the texture on the alpha channel, let's for example increase the contrast just to see it more clearly. Okay, and now you can see it's blurred here, it's not blurred at all in there. So you can control it however you want. I'm gonna leave it at 0, but just for the sake of this effect, but you know, just so you know, you can control it however you want it. Also, you can change the seed if you want a different blur in, or blurs in the different spots. So I'll just leave it as 0 right now. Now the last thing, well, not the last thing before, but the last thing before the floor, it's we want some bump. So we want some, well, there you go, more imperfections on our surface. So if you come here on the bump channel, check the box, and again noise, and we'll create a Luca, but since it's a bump, I'll just make it fairly low, so 150 I guess, in compared to the roughness, which is like 1000 or 500. 150 I think it's good, and we can already see the detail here on the edges. Well, wherever there is reflectance, we can see it better. And in here as well, in the transparency, we can see like dents, which is, it's pretty cool. It gives a very nice effect. Now it may be too much or not for you, it depends on the mirror, but I'm gonna bring this down to 5%, so fairly low. Okay, 10% I guess. Fairly low amount of bump. So now we have this covered. I'm just going to create the floor. So let's make it visible again. Okay, so the floor just uses the reflectance channel. We don't need the color and not the default specular, so we can delete this one. We'll add a Beckman, and well, just like the outside sphere, the reflection channel, we want the roughness here to be fairly high, for example 50. Let's make it 100. Let's just make it maximum. Wait, something is, oh yeah, the material is not applied, so someone apply the material first. Okay, so that's crazy, because we are also reflecting the environment and we don't want that. So before making the roughness, control the roughness, let's come here to layer sampling, and we have the distance dim, bigger distance dim, and the distance dim is, well, pretty self-explanatory. If you turn this on, you have 100 units of reflection of the distance that it actually reflects. Okay, to 100 it's way too much. Let's make it down to 50. So yeah, so 100 units, it's pretty low. Let's make it 500. So I think we can see the whole sphere now being reflected. Yeah, I think it's okay. So, well, as we did before, we want to drive the roughness with a noise layer, which is a Luca. And since this is the floor, let's just make it 100,000 actually, so fairly big. So there you go, looks good, right? Yes, it does. And as we did on the outside sphere, let's also have some bump. Let's drag the roughness map for the bump channel, drop in on the texture, check bump, and we can actually leave this one as 1000 because it's the floor, so it's fairly big, and the strength to 20%, I think it's fine. So that's really it. That's really the way that you create this kind of frosty material, and also the way that you can control the transparency, the blurriness of the transparency, and the blurriness of the reflection of the materials. So yeah, that's it. Also, you obviously this takes a long time. It's just a progressive render, so it keeps getting better and better. By the end of it, you should get, if I can go to the picture viewer, you should get a blur like this. So it's actually blurry. It's not like this kind of blur. But if you want to render out the image for a final render, you should probably change the physical mode, the progressive mode from the rendering mode from progressive to adaptive, and just change it to whatever you want, medium or high, because the progressive mode, it's really just better to use for the interactive render region, to have render times faster in the live view. So yeah, I hope you learned something with this, and yeah, that's it.